Scott Margolin, and I'm here to pose an odd question. What do professional bull riding and working around flash fire hazards possibly have in common? The answer is a lot more than you might think. Both are very dangerous activities, and they require top-notch training, situational awareness, and the right PPE to stay safe. Today we're diving into two of the toughest jobs out there, and we're going to be joined by special guests who each bring deep expertise from their own world. We'll start with Ariat, who's one of the leading brands in flame-resistant PPE and in boots, and we're going to be joined by Heath Hunter to talk about safety and surviving the hazard no matter what arena you're playing in. This is the most dangerous 8 seconds in sports. Heath, thank you so much for making this opportunity available to us and all of our viewers.
Yeah, not a problem. We're honored to sponsor this, right? So we have great ties in the rodeo world, obviously Texas Rattlers being one of our teams, and it's a tremendous opportunity for us to partner together, talk about safety outside of our industry, how important it is and how dangerous it is. Sometimes we don't see the same perspectives, but there's great parallels between the two.
Bull riding is an extreme sport, and it's one of the deadliest. Riders are sitting on an animal that weighs almost a ton that's doing everything it can to throw them off as rapidly and as violently as possible. It needs to be done safely. So there are teams of people around every rider. There's all kinds of equipment. There's all kinds of training that goes into doing something this dangerous safely. For some people, the adrenaline rush is worth the risk.
I'm John Crimber. I'm an Ariat athlete and I'm a professional bull rider.
John Crimber is a second-generation bull rider. He was also the first overall pick in the 2024 draft class and lived up to that hype, winning the 2024 Rookie of the Year, and he currently sits at #1 in the standings as of this filming.
When you do something dangerous, you gotta have the right training and the right gear so you don't get hurt. The right gear is really important because you could probably have a bad helmet and it not protect you.
The Texas Rattlers recently won the championship, and Daniel Keeping was a key piece of that team. He knows all about the dangers and injuries of riding bulls for a living, firsthand and painfully.
I've lost teeth without wearing a helmet before, broke my jaw, been stepped on the ribs, in the belly, been hit in the face a couple times, and I've experienced both with gear and without gear, and with the gear it's a lot better.
Bull riding is clearly and visually obviously dangerous. Working around a flash fire hazard is also. So what is a flash fire different from a regular fire? A regular fire is fuel fed. A flash fire, by differentiation, is a diffuse fuel suspended in air. There's an ignition point, and then a flame front will move rapidly through that diffuse fuel, consuming the fuel as it goes. So between the diffuse nature of the fuel and the rapidly moving flame front, the key point here is that in any single location in that where a worker might be standing, the exposure to that heat is very, very brief, almost always well less than 3 seconds. Flame-resistant clothing is vitally important when working around a flash fire hazard for a really simple reason. It's almost never the flash fire itself that causes the catastrophic or fatal injury. It's actually almost always the brief flash fire igniting flammable clothing, which then continues to burn and causes injury to be suffered over both a much wider area of the body and often more severely. That's what leads to the catastrophic and fatal outcomes. And the solution is simple: don't wear fuel. For more information on flash fire safety, we went straight to the source.
Safety is paramount on an oil rig. Our guys are working in a very risky environment. So we have processes and procedures and folks who help us all day long encourage the right safety habits that'll keep our folks safe.
So whether you're on the back of a bull or in the line of fire, the dangers are obvious and numerous. Getting tossed, stomped, or gored, they're possible outcomes every day. Getting burned on the job is also an everyday hazard for roughnecks or anybody else that works around a flash fire hazard. And yet, with the appropriate situational awareness, experience, training, and PPE, we can mitigate these risks.
You know, the right training is important. Getting on a bull, you need to be practical. You can't get on something that's above your level.
Situational awareness is absolutely crucial in any kind of a hazardous environment. Complacency is your enemy here. It's too easy to say, I've done this a million times, and then lose that vital situational awareness. You would never get on a bull to go ride one without the proper skills and knowledge you need to do it safely, and by the same token, you should never step on a job site without being fully aware of the dangers that it presents, fully qualified to do the tasks at hand, and fully aware at all times of what might change.
Our folks start out every 12-hour shift with a 30-minute safety meeting. They talk about what's going to happen that day, and whether the activities of the day present any particular risks. That's followed up with a JSA, or a job safety analysis, so that we keep our folks safe.
But when things go wrong, and they do all the time, the difference between going to the hospital or the morgue and going home is almost always your PPE.
You want to make sure everything's up to standard so it ain't failing on you when you need it. That's our biggest part. We need something that every time I put on, I don't have to second guess it. Most guys will wear a mouthpiece in the helmet, of course, for facial protection. The face masks are tested specifically for bull riding.
My helmet saved me a lot. One time I actually got stepped on the back of my head, and if I didn't have the helmet on, who knows what could have happened. It could have been a lot worse than what it was. I just came out there with a couple scratches and I was fine.
Sometimes the boots can be the biggest series. These shoes, you can tell they're metal, and you get on bull 14 to 1,800 pounds. They go bang around there. So if you wear something a little thicker, it protects your feet honestly in there a little better too.
Bull riding isn't going to be safe, no matter what you put on, but we do have safety gear to save him from some of the bumps and bruises and some of the major injuries too.
Cody Lambert is a bull riding legend. He has multiple championships, he's been inducted into the Bull Riding Hall of Fame, and he's also responsible for a major safety innovation, bringing vests into the sport in 1993.
The protective vest really came from the racetrack. My family had a horse racing background, and my mother said, you should get one of those black jackets like the jockeys are wearing. It's saving a lot of lives. And so I contacted the company that was making them, and we spent about a year working on the design for them and brought that into bull riding.
Prior to Lambert's vest, being gored in the chest or stepped on was a major hazard to the sport. The hazard remains, of course, but the outcome is now far less devastating because of the PPE. And the same can be said with flame-resistant clothing on an oil rig or around any kind of a flash fire hazard. Here we have a great example of two completely different hazards being made safer by very similar pieces of PPE. Cody Lambert's impact vest on the one hand and an arc and flame-resistant vest on the other.
The environment that we're in has the potential to have hydrocarbons in the atmosphere. Hydrocarbons are combustible, and if we need the proper PPE, personal protective equipment, and if our clothing gives our guys that layer of protection that we want them to have. I can't even talk about all the risks of non-FR, but it could be pretty severe, particularly if you're wearing something that has the potential to melt under heat and it sticks to your skin. That's just catastrophic.
When they go to work, both a person facing flash fire hazards and a bull rider step into the unknown, where danger is constant and the risk of injury is omnipresent. So to stay safe, both rely on intense training, situational awareness, and trusted PPE, including flame-resistant clothing. Once again, we'd like to thank Ariat for their support of this project, for their partnership, and for bringing style to safety. And thank you for watching. Please stay safe out there.